Hi everybody, my name is Jack and today I'll be going over with you whether it is a smart option to be buying stock in Monster Beverages. So before we get into the finer details of the company, it's important that we go over the history. The company became Hanson Juices in 1935 and later the Fresh Juice Company of California. The plant was opened in Los Angeles in 1946 and was used until operations were moved to a new plant in Azusa, California in 1993. The company filed for bankruptcy in 1998 and was acquired by the California Co-Packers Corporation and renamed Hanson's Natural Company. In 1998, the company moved from Anaheim, California to Corona, California. On January 5, 2012, shareholders agreed to change the name of the company from Hanson's Natural to Monster Beverage Corporation under the new ticker Monster, which is where we are at today. So around the same time, shareholders also approved of an increase in the number of authorized shares of common stock from 120 million shares to 240 million shares, which is a great deal. An interesting bit of information that I came across during my research was that in 2008, the FDA ruled that products could not be labeled natural if they contained high fructose corn syrup, so they began using cane sugar in response to that effort. One more recent information about the company that I learned was their strategic partnership with the Coca-Cola Company. On June 15th, the Coca-Cola Company took ownership of Hanson's juice products and sodas and their other non-energy drink brands in exchange for their energy drink brands such as NOS, Full Throttle, Burn, Gladiator, and Samurai. Here we have a few of the top management for Monster Beverages. On the left is Mr. Rodney Sachs, who is the chairman and CEO of Monster Beverages. In the middle here we have Hilton Schlosberg, who is the vice chairman and president. And on the far right we have Mark Vittergauz, who is our lead director. Okay, on this slide we'll be taking a deeper look into the career of Rodney Sachs before he became the CEO and chairman of Monster Beverages, which he was appointed to in 2012. Mr. Sachs graduated from the University of Witwatersrand in Johannesburg, South Africa. Before that, he was a partner at Worksman's Attorneys from 1976 to 1989. Prior to that, he was a Unipac Corp chairman, and his equity with the company as of now with Monster Beverages is worth $25.4 million. He owns about 8.5% of the company's outstanding common stock, which is of April 3rd, 2018. Another interesting tidbit of information is that he received $924,000 cash bonus, which was paid half in cash and half in stock in 2018. Okay, so the next member we have is Hilton Schlosberg. He's the vice chairman and president of Monster Beverages. He also graduated from the same university as Rodney Sachs, and his equity is worth $25 million, and he owns about 8.3% of the company's outstanding stock. And he was also awarded a cash bonus. This was for $924,000, and half of it was paid for in cash and half in stock. Okay, so our next member is Mark Vindergauz. Not sure if you guys are starting to see a trend here, but Mark also attended the same university as Rodney and Hilton, and these guys are all old college friends who now all sit on the board for Monster Beverages. From doing further research, I can tell right off the bat these guys are all very good at what they do, which I will expand on later in the presentation. Okay, so now with company history out of the way, we can start to look more at the beverage industry as a whole. There are many challenges that lie ahead for the global beverage producers in 2019. It's a very competitive market. Monster has lost $12.7 billion to the U.S. energy drink market with the new Vital Farms Bang brand that just came out. I'll show you a graphic on the next slide for that. But other competition comes from Red Bull as well as their strategic partner, Coca-Cola. In general, Monster shares have fallen since early March amid a surge in short interest. Okay, so here we have a graphic for the energy drink market share. This picture was taken off Bloomberg. On the left-hand side, we have the year 2018's market share, and on the right, we have 2019. As I said before, Vital Pharma just released a brand called Bang, which is doing very well in the market, and it's taking up a decent amount of the share from the energy drink market. So that's one to watch out for and keep in mind for this stock. Okay, so here we have the U.S. energy drink consumption per capita. This starts in 2010 and goes to the present. Now at 7.5 liters a year, it has risen to close to 7% compound annually pace since 2008, one of the fastest growth rates among the largest beverage categories. The category slowing growth shows signs of maturity, which may be a precursor to increased competition or market saturation. Okay, if you can see over to the far left of your screen, I have it circled there. This was a gift disposition and acquisition for Hilton Schlossberg with 1 million shares sold and 2 million shares bought in a single transaction. Rodney Sachs and Hillrod Holdings were also a part of this transaction on that day as well, but this was one of the largest buy-offs and sell-offs for this past year. It's also important for us to take a look at what financial analysts have to say about this stock. One financial analyst from Value Line quoted saying the company tends to further strengthen its position in the energy drink market, which is always a positive aspect. Another one is that near-term prospects appear bright for Monster Beverages. They don't quite know what the long-term prospects for the stock are. But one of the drawbacks that the analysts are worried about, which might cause volatility in Monster's stock price, is that they are currently engaged in a lawsuit with the Coca-Cola company because Coca-Cola breached the contract that they created when they formed their strategic partnership back in 2015. This contract was that Coca-Cola would be in charge of soft drinks and Monster in charge of energy drinks. Well, Coca-Cola had plans to release a soft drink this spring before Monster filed a lawsuit against them, stopping the release of their new product. It will be interesting to see going forward how this matter plays out and what it means for both companies involved. Okay, to wrap up, I'd like to do a SWOT analysis of the company. First thing that I noticed for its strengths was that it has a very strong management team who's able to overcome obstacles no matter what's put in their way. The other thing I'd like to say is that there's an energy drink consumption trend that tends to be going upwards, which is bucking the trend of healthy choice options. Another strength that Monster has at its disposal is its debt to equity ratio is 0. What is considered a high debt to equity ratio differs depending on the industry, because some industries tend to utilize more debt financing than others. As a rule of thumb, a financially healthy large cap should have a ratio of less than 40%. For For Monster, however, the debt to equity ratio is 0, meaning the company has no debt. This means it has been running its business utilizing funding from only its equity capital, which is rather impressive. Investors' risk associated with debt is virtually non-existent with Monster, and the company has plenty of headroom and ability to raise debt should it need to in the future. Another strength to the company is that it has a very strong economic moat. Some of the potential weaknesses I saw in Monster Beverages was there being a trend for healthier choice selections, and energy drinks doesn't quite fall under that category. Another weakness I had for them is that customer base hasn't been proven to be very loyal. Another weakness is that it's a very competitive market with new competition coming around overnight almost. For example, Vital Pharma's Bang, which I had mentioned earlier. Some of the opportunities that I see going forward for the Monster Beverages is that they have a lot of good product innovation. They have some upcoming launches for drinks such as Predator, which is going to be released in South Africa, and Monster Ultra Light in China, which are expected to be very well received. This also goes hand in hand with geographic expansion as they're selling their products in new and different countries. Another opportunity that I see down the road is the Coca-Cola partnership that they have. I know that's kind of counterintuitive to what I said about them being engaged in a lawsuit, but we know that Coca-Cola is one of Warren Buffett's largest and dearest holdings, and it has been long rumored that Coke may be interested in a Monster takeover. Even if this doesn't materialize, the shares look appealing given the qualities that Monster gets. So wrapping up our SWOT analysis with threats for Monster Beverages. One of the possible threats that I mentioned earlier is the Coca-Cola Company threat. It's really hard to see where this one's going as of now, so we'll just have to hold tight and wait and see. Another threat that I had was that the beverage industry has possibly reached market saturation. And the final one that I had was the longevity of the company. In 1997, R.E. Guy wrote a fascinating book called The Living Company. Guy studied the life expectancy of companies of all sizes and was very surprised to find that the average Fortune 500 company had a life expectancy of just 40 to 50 years. Now, it takes about 25 to 30 years for a company to get on the Fortune 500 list, and Guy found that it typically takes them 20 years after they get on this list to cease to existence entirely. So I just found that interesting tidbit of information that I'd like to pass along to you guys, to not think of these companies as going on forever. They do have an end time, and I think short-term investment is possibly the best option going forward. Okay, so finally, this is just a financial snapshot of some of the data that we have associated with Monster Beverages. It has a PE ratio of 27.9, doesn't have a dividend yield, and its beta is 0.85, which is below 1. All good, healthy numbers. Definitely good financial data set we have here. Okay, so in conclusion, I find that this is generally a good stock to buy into. It has a really good management team. Also, its debt to equity ratio is 0, which I love about this company. Another thing is that the energy drink consumption is consistent. My only real hesitation going forward with this stock is the lawsuit with the Coca-Cola Company at the time. Even though they are strategic partners, I don't think that if Monster's stock price would take that big of a hit if things don't go their way. I can't imagine Coca-Cola acting not in their best interest towards Monster and their own company. So it's just more of a wait and see kind of thing with that. But other than that, this concludes my presentation. Thank you for all for watching.